This Family Life News podcast is made possible by the support of listeners like you.
Next on the 5 o'clock report.
I got rid of the sinister Johnson Amendment so that pastors can speak the truth that they're pulpit.
There is no safe place here.
We are actually going to leave a little early because it's too hot.
Now, let's go to the newsroom.
Keeping the faith. Good afternoon. Thank you very much for joining us. I'm Mark Webster. That's what President Trump says he's been doing while he's been in office, keynoting today's Faith and Freedom Coalition gathering in Washington, D.C.
On day one of my administration, I ended the weaponization of law enforcement against religious believers. You know that. I pardoned the Christians Joe Biden threw in jail for saying prayers. I got rid of the sinister Johnson Amendment so that pastors can speak the truth that they're pulpit.
The speech marked Trump's return to the Washington Hilton, scene of an attack at the White House Correspondents' Dinner. Trump later met with administration Faith Office officials in the Oval Office and was asked by a reporter about yesterday's Iranian drone strike on a cargo ship in the Strait of Hormuz and what the U.S. might plan to do about it.
You'll find out.
Will the U.S.
You'll find out.
Will the U.S. respond? What is your message to Iran?
Respond, you're going to find out.
Sir, why do you think they did that if the talks, you've said repeatedly they're going well? What do you think the motivation is for Iran in attacking the ship?
They're a little bit different.
The Iranian attack appeared to be a clear violation of the Memorandum of Understanding that brought a halt to the U.S.-Iran war. A second potentially fragile document has also emerged today, a framework for a halt of hostilities between Israel and Lebanon, though Lebanon-based Iran proxy terror group Hezbollah hasn't indicated whether they have any plan to abide by its terms. Deaths in the twin Venezuelan earthquakes now number close to 1,000. Injuries, a few thousand and counting, since so many buildings were destroyed, leaving thousands more people still unaccounted for. Earthquake survivor Alicia Santacroce says she can't believe she made it out alive.
My sister called me and told me, you have to look for a safe place. And I was telling her, there is no safe place here. It's burning. The buildings are burning.
The U.S. is among nations rushing rescue workers and humanitarian assistance to Venezuela. A mistrial today for the man accused of sparking the deadly Palisades fire in Southern California. Some of the jurors in that case are now speaking out, including juror Serena, who says she thought some of the evidence presented by the prosecution was misleading.
When we realized it was someone wasn't going to budge, we were like, what are we doing here? I'm going to go nuts. It makes me sad as an American that, we couldn't come to a conclusion.
The January 2025 Palisades fire killed a dozen people, burned thousands of homes, cost billions of dollars. It's led to plenty of finger-pointing between officials and left Californians upset over the response. Prosecutors say they plan to retry this case. Several western states are under red flag warnings now for extreme fire danger, conditions that are expected to persist right into next month. That's prompted Utah officials to ban fireworks through Independence Day.
The default during this extraordinary fire season will be that fireworks are prohibited statewide.
You use fireworks illegally, whether in a restricted area or outside the days allowed by law, you may face arrest.
Firefighters there are already working to contain 5 large fires. The Cottonwood Fire in southern Utah is over 71,000 acres, making it the largest fire not only in the state, but in the U.S. right now. An intense heat wave is also continuing to bake Europe. Temperatures in Paris yesterday hitting a June record of about 105 degrees. Keegan Cronin is an American in Paris on vacation and says the heat's just been too much for her and her kids.
We are actually going to leave a little early because it's too hot.
Spain and the UK have also been experiencing record warmth, especially punishing because most homes there don't have air conditioning. In Paris, emergency cooling baths have been set up to help people with heat stroke. Alcohol consumption is being restricted to try to ease the burden on hospitals. As dangerous heat shifts eastward, heat alerts are also in place in Italy, Germany, Poland, and the Balkans. Back in our country, diagnoses of gambling disorders are on the rise in states like New York and Pennsylvania that have legalized sports betting.
It's recognized as a mental health condition in which patients often cannot stop gambling despite the growing distress and harm they experience. A new study from Epic Research says diagnoses rose more than 60% since 2018, with the biggest increase among young men. Data also showed a decline in diagnoses in the 11 states that did not legalize sports betting, with cases dropping by about 30% from 2018 to March 2026. I'm Matt Mattinson.
Next to tennis, where champion Chris Everett says her ovarian cancer has returned for a third time. NBC's Ann Thompson reports the 18-time Grand Slam winner was previously diagnosed with ovarian cancer in 2021 and 2023.
Now 71, the tennis legend posting that CT and PET scans this past weekend found the cancer. She underwent surgery as the first step in her treatment and recovery and will begin chemotherapy in the coming weeks.
The Hall of Famer says she's stepping away from ESPN's Wimbledon coverage and other professional commitments during her treatment. The announcement comes as Netflix prepares to release a documentary called Chris and Martina, the final set. Still to come on the 5 o'clock report, a recap of our top regional stories, and also we'll have a preview with Voice of the Martyrs President Todd Middleton on this Sunday, which is Day of the Christian Martyrs. That's all coming up after Weather with Ken.
This is meteorologist Ken McKinley with our Family Life forecast as we head into the weekend. For the most part, some pleasant conditions on the way. The temperatures will be comfortable, a little bit warmer by the end of the weekend, and we'll have some sunshine in almost all areas. The only exception will be later tonight and tomorrow across Pennsylvania locations where quite a bit of cloudiness is likely as a weak system slides by through that area, moving from west to east. There may be a little light rain in Pennsylvania areas at times, though, mainly along and south of I-80, and even there it won't amount to very much. Farther to the north in New York locations, there will be some sunshine tomorrow, and it will be a fairly pleasant day. Clouds will clear out of all areas as we head through tomorrow night, leaving us with a sunny Sunday and temperatures which will reach 80 or better in most all locations.
All right, thank you, Ken. Now checking the stories making news where you live across New York and Pennsylvania. New York Governor Kathy Hochul fighting mad about yesterday's U.S. Supreme Court decisions that handed a pair of policy victories to the Trump administration on immigration.
Hundreds of thousands of individuals woke up with this dread, this fear in their hearts because their rights were being abandoned by the Trump administration and the Supreme Court of the United States. Supreme Court withdrawing these rights, I'm telling you, it's going to cripple our healthcare system because so many of them are hard-working union members. Who's going to show up tomorrow to take care of grandma?
Meantime, a new Siena University poll shows Hochul with a 20-point edge over her Republican challenger, Nassau County Executive Bruce Blakeman. That's a 4-point jump in the governor's lead from the last poll a few weeks back. The Democrat is seeking a second full term, while Blakeman wants to become the first Republican to lead the Empire State since George Pataki. The alleged ringleader in the torture and killing of a so-called transgender man in court today, Precious Arzuaga, facing a judge for a change of plea hearing after she was accused of being involved in the murder of Samuel Norquist. He traveled to the area in September 2024. His body was found in a Yates County field a few months later. Another co-defendant, Emily Motaika, pleaded guilty earlier this month and is facing up to 50 years to life behind bars. Police have identified the fire victims from Monday's arson attack at a motel near Binghamton. A family of 5, including 3 children and a middle-aged woman, died from smoke inhalation at the Knights Inn in Endwell, New York. State Police Captain Lucas Anthony.
A total of 6 victims were located deceased within the rubble of the building. 58-year-old Michelle Wolfort was located within her first floor room. A family of 5 was located on the second story of the building.
A 24-year-old man is in custody charged with 6 counts of manslaughter. He was staying at the motel when the flames broke out. County Executive Jason Garner says dozens have been impacted by that tragedy.
Broome County is now focused on helping those who have been displaced by this fire. We are working closely with local municipalities, nonprofit organizations, and community partners to provide emergency shelter, meals, transportation, housing support, and other critical resources.
There's also been an ongoing protest outside of Broome County offices over the Knights Inn fire. The protesters saying that the county should have done more to make the Knights Inn safer. Another case of truck versus bridge in the Syracuse area. A truck driver facing steep fines after the box truck he was driving hit a bridge in DeWitt. The truck struck a CSX railroad bridge, the impact mangling the truck. Police say the driver ignored several warning signs before colliding with that span. Clearance under the bridge is 10 feet, Some box trucks range up to 13.5 feet high. Animal shelters across New York are struggling with overcrowding, and the lackluster economy is a big reason why. Animal rights activist Vicky Pape says it's a virtual full house at Lollipop Farm in Fairport, New York, where she works.
So right now we have almost 100 dogs in our care. Some are in foster home and some are here, but we're getting close to our capacity.
Experts say because of the high cost of living, many people can't afford to keep their pets any longer. Less than 4 in 10 U.S. households today have a dog. The big reason for that, the current state of the economy. A teenager in the hospital after an ATV crash in Union County, Pennsylvania, Wednesday night. PA State Police say 4 kids were riding in an ATV in West Buffalo Township when the 15-year-old driver became distracted, veered right, causing a 13-year-old passenger to be thrown off the vehicle. She was airlifted to Geisinger Medical Center with serious injuries. Cleanup is underway after a massive fire at a former furniture factory in Allentown, PA. City officials say the building on the 300 block of Front Street was heavily damaged in that Wednesday night fire and will be demolished once the area is deemed safe to do so. 200 firefighters from almost 24 departments across the Lehigh Valley had to be called in to fight that 6-alarm blaze. The cause of that fire remains under investigation. One of Pennsylvania's most famous railroad attractions is getting a big upgrade. We get the details on that from Family Life's Brian Query.
For the first time in nearly 5 years, the funicular incline at Altoona's Horseshoe Curve is back in full operation following a ribbon-cutting ceremony Thursday. The restored incline gives visitors with mobility challenges easier access to the viewing platform ahead of next month's visit by the world's largest operating steam locomotive, Big Boy 4014. Officials also celebrated the installation of a new 80-foot flagpole and American flag, restoring a tradition at the historic landmark that dates back more than a century. Brian Query, Family Life News.
Thank you very much, Brian. Up next, highlights from a Family Life interview with Todd Nettleton. This Sunday marks the Day of the Christian Martyr. Thousands of churches around the world will remember Perpetua in honor of those who have died for the Christian faith. Voice of the Martyrs Vice President Todd Nettleton says you still have time to take part.
One of the things that we offer is a free video. This year we're focusing on the story of Perpetua, who was martyred in North Africa in 203 AD. And we have a short video that you can share even in your main worship service. You could certainly share it in a Sunday school class, in a Bible study group. A lot of churches are going to have a guided prayer time and really invite people to pray. Lord, Perpetua sacrificed her life. What would you ask me to sacrifice? What would you have me do to follow her example of being willing to give up everything? Not all of us will be asked to give up everything, but we should all be willing and have that understanding that the treasure that we have found is worth selling everything to possess. Just being reminded of that and being invited to pray. Lord, help me to know, help me to be willing to make sacrifices in my own life. That's some of the things we hope will happen this weekend as we lead up to Day of the Christian Martyr.
The video is about 2 minutes long. There's also a digital discussion guide and a printable bulletin insert. You can find resources on the Voice of the Martyrs website at persecution.com. And a reminder that you can hear all of our Family Life original news features at Apple Podcast, YouTube, Spotify, and FamilyLife.org. This is the 5 o'clock report on Family Life.
What if the secret to generosity isn't giving more, but receiving God's grace more deeply? Hi, I'm Rob West with another Faith and Finance Minute. In 1 John 4, we read, "We love because he first loved us." Christian generosity always begins there. In Luke 8, women like Joanna, Mary Magdalene, and others supported Jesus' ministry out of their own resources. But before they ever gave, they had first been healed, restored, and loved by Christ. Their generosity was not about obligation. It was an overflow of gratitude. That's the pattern for us as well. Everything we have, our time, talents, and treasure, has been received from God's hand. When we receive His grace deeply, generosity becomes more than a duty. It becomes a joyful response of love. Manage your finances wisely with the easy-to-use FaithFi app. Download FaithFi, Faith and Finance from your app store, or learn more at faithfi.com.
Thank you, Rob. Finally at 5, it's a sound we all know, though merchants likely like it more than customers do. Today is National Barcode Day. IBM engineer George Laurer created the Universal Product Code, or UPC, barcode system in 1973. And on June 26, 1974, a cashier scanned a 10-pack of gum at a small supermarket in Troy, Ohio, and shopping soon became a beeping experience. Today, billions of products around the world are identified by their barcode, but the old barcode is gradually giving way to the QR code. QR stands for Quick Response. That was invented in 1994 by Masahiro Hara. Barcodes are one-dimensional. They hold just 25 characters of info. A QR code can contain up to 4,296 alphanumeric characters. And in some settings, QR codes are already being replaced, too, by NFC, near-field communication, and RFID, radio frequency identification. But those aren't any fun. They don't beep. That's the world we live in for Friday, June 26, 2026. Thanks again for joining us. Have a blessed weekend. I'm Mark Webster, Family Life News.
Thank you for listening to this Family Life News podcast. If you've been encouraged by what you've heard, please share it with others and click the subscribe button to automatically receive future episodes. Family Life is a listener-supported ministry. Podcasts like this are made possible by your financial partnership. Find out more at familylife.org.